This season alone has been a blessing for the Mahou Shoujo genre. It's been a while since we've seen a load of them come out all at the same time, and we're treated to Magical Girl Raising Project, Flip Flappers, Soshun Shoujo Matoi, and a second season of the short, Mahou Shoujo Nante mo I desu kara. It's looking like a good time for the genre. Even if these shows don't turn out to be great, it's something fresh and exciting that we see to come back. What's great about all these new shows is they aren't all trying to ride off the dark tones of shows like Madoka and Yuki Yuna. They all may have their times where they get dark, but they each seem to be catering to a different kind of crowd, whether it be the old-time fans of Mahou Shoujo, children, or the crowd that enjoy the darker shows. In their own right, they're all trying to revolutionize the genre, but let's backtrack a little bit and talk about the show that really did revolutionize not only Mahou Shoujo, but anime and the way viewers perceive anime as a work of art in the first place. Those that know me know I'm no stranger to the analytical. Evangelion and Psycho Pass rank into some of my favorite shows nowadays. And recently, having completed Revolutionary Girl Utena, it's gained a spot within those favorites as well. There's a few ways I've seen Utena described, and they're all pretty accurate, ranging from the female Evangelion to the deconstruction of anime as a whole. But I went into this show blind, knowing only its relationship to the deconstruction of the Mahou Shoujo genre. And then within a few episodes, I realized how brilliant it really was. Revolutionary Girl Utena begins pretty much like your average school life show. We meet Utena, her friends, and we're thrusted right into what seems to be a load of shonen battle series tropes. But at the same time, this is a shoujo show. True, Sailor Moon did the same thing, providing monsters of the week and a pretty girl superhero to the young female audience. But Utena did something different. These weren't just Monster of the Week style battles as they appeared in the beginning. At the end of the Student Council saga, Utena had defeated all of the members of the Student Council, and then we move into the Black Rose saga. It's at this point where we think, well, those characters from the first arc are useless now, and that's where we'd be wrong. Every character that Utena comes up against exists for a purpose, and continues to have their purpose after their duel with Utena. They're formed into real people who have lived before, during, and after their time with Utena. Is that all, you ask? Didn't Evangelion do something similar with how every angel pushed Shinji and Asuka deeper into their innermost thoughts? Wasn't Kaoru the culmination of all those thoughts coming together as one and the trigger of the breaking point? Well, yeah, you'd be right. But that's not all Utena did. Utena did many more revolutionary things that we wouldn't see in America for some time. Let's take a look at Utena herself for an example. Utena Tenjo was saved by a prince, who we later learn was Dios. When she was a kid, Dios gave Utena the Rose Crest ring that would eventually lead her back to him. It was from this day forward that Utena swore to be a prince to protect Dios' sister. So there's many things to take away from this in its entirety. Mainly, we're thrown the typical story of a prince saving a girl who would, in the future, adore to be his princess. But instead, Utena would rather dress like a boy when she attends Otori Academy because of her promise to Dios. In the 90s, in America, this would be seen as completely idiotic and cause for a mental problem in an individual. But in recent years, many individuals have embraced this term, which came to be known as gender fluidity, a theme in which is extremely prevalent in not only Revolutionary Girl Utena, but the movie Adolescence of Utena. There's a few changes to Utena's character in the movie Adolescence. She ditches her long pink hair for that of a shorter style, a boy's style if you will. She also ditches her signature princely uniform for a more standard student uniform that really reminds me of Jotaro Kujo. Not once in the movie is Utena shown as feminine until her duel with Saionji, where he knocks Utena down, revealing her cleavage. Saionji's reaction is literally, "You're a girl?" And Utena replies, "Yeah, and that's why I won't allow you to hit one," referring to the Rose Bride, Anthe Himemiya.
And I'll never lose to anyone who hits a girl!
On the topic of Anthe Himemiya, there's a lot of mystery behind her character, as stated by the director Kunihiku Ikuhara in a 1997 interview.
アンシーというキャラクターそのものにね、実際毒があるかどうかなんてのは僕は知らないし、毒があるかのように見えるという表現はしてるんだけど、そこに悪意があるかどうかっていう ことまでは一切表現しないつもりだから。
She's designed to resemble more of a South Asian person than that of an Eastern Asian one. It's made a little more clear in the movie with a red bindi on her head, the dot that most married women have on their forehead. Let's first examine the bindi, and then we'll talk more about Anthy. The red bindi in particular means true love and prosperity. It's commonly, as I stated before, worn by married Indian women. For comparison's sake, in the series, Anthy wore a black bindi on her head, which could mean many things. The loss of her brother as Dios, the loss of control of her life, or simply the loss of freedom to love. While Anthy herself isn't married, she's engaged to the winner of the duels of Otori Academy. And for most of the series, this ends up being Utena herself. There are cases in which Anthy is shown to follow the orders, love, and respect the current champion of the duels because that is the life of the Rose Bride. This is really hitting hard into not only the type of character Anthy is, but even the culture of arranged marriage, which is particularly prevalent in the Indian region. Anthy's inclusion in the story and engagement to Utena gives a bit of a shoujo ai story. Even if Utena doesn't accept that herself, while Utena may dress like a boy, she's still after that prince. She still wants to find Dios, or if you're watching the movie, she's looking for Toga, but who she's looking for is beside the point. The point is showcased much harder in the movie, but it's still relevant in the show as well. Anthy and Utena do share a special kind of relationship, even if Utena is after her prince. There are many times in the adolescence of Utena where Anthy tries to get sexual with Utena. She backs away the first time and goes to Toga for advice, asking him, is this normal for Anthy? Does she spend the night with whoever the champion is like this? How many times have you engaged with her? Toga kinda just shakes the question off as unnecessary details and gives Utena a simple answer, showcasing the belief that how many times he's been with Anthy doesn't really matter.
Of course, she'll spend the night with whomever she's engaged.
Have you ever won a duel yourself? Have you ever done that engage thing with Himemiya?
That shouldn't be any of your business, should it?
Now that that's all said and done and I've talked about all these things, and there's even more that I could just keep going on and on about, we get to the major question. What really makes Utena revolutionary? Could it be the fact that I just went on about 3 major things? Or could it be the fact that, it just aired on the Sci-Fi Channel, which is weird in its own way? The 90s was a tough time with censorship of multimedia. Sailor Moon got hit hard from the editing of scenes outright to remove any semblance of violence or nudity, the signature reversal of the clip of Usagi falling to make it look like she was being lifted back up, or the changes to the gender or relationships of certain characters to remove the themes of incest and homosexuality from the localized release in the US. Utena, fortunately, wasn't victim to this. Due to levels of content that would need to be heavily censored to localize Utena in this era, we'd be getting a totally different story if that were to happen. It kind of feels like, in one way, Revolutionary Girl Utena was crafted to avoid censorship. In modern media, the show Steven Universe is embracing all of the themes and more of what Revolutionary Girl Utena had, and Steven Universe even shows direct homage to its inspirational roots through certain scenes such as Pearl vs. Hollow Pearl in the episode Steven the Sword Fighter, or Greg and Rose Quartz's dance in We Need to Talk. Just like Utena, if Steven Universe were presented to a wide audience during the time of Sailor Moon's run, it would have been laughed at and labeled as a bad influence on children. But that doesn't mean that Steven Universe is free from such shackles. In the UK alone, a similar scene to Greg and Rose Quartz's dance was edited out during a TV broadcast. But this just goes to show that a show with such strong themes such as Utena or Steven Universe can't fall prey to censorship so easily. In the episode Jailbreak, we see a touching scene between Sapphire and Ruby, which most media outlets labeled as the queerest episode of Steven Universe yet when it aired. Again, the scene in question was influenced by Utena, where Dios wipes away Utena's tears. We see Sapphire and Ruby have a similar exchange, but there's a major difference here. Both of the characters are depicted as female. Even if the gems aren't necessarily gendered, the pronouns that they're using here are she and her. So in a wider sense, this scene is very homosexual. Imagine the scene airing in the 90s. Imagine them defunding the entire show because of this scene. In the United States, that would have happened. Especially for a show being shown to an audience of children. Sure, embracing all of the ideas that Utena and Steven Universe presented has come a long way, and truthfully, it probably never will be accepted 100% by all people ever. But progress has been made in America, and shows like these can really grow their roots on this side of the world now. Thanks Japan for giving us hope and inspiration until the end of the world.